You think your problem is discipline. It isn't. The real issue is that you keep negotiating with yourself like your weakness has authority. Every time an urge appears, you treat it like an equal voice instead of noise that needs to be shut down. That hesitation is where everything breaks. You don't lose when you fail. You lose when you entertain the option to fail. Because the moment you open that door, your mind starts building reasons, and it builds them fast. It will justify comfort, delay, distraction, anything that protects the easier path. You are not dealing with logic. You are dealing with a system designed to keep you safe, not effective. If you want control, you stop the conversation early. No debate, no compromise. The strongest version of you does not argue with impulses. It ignores them and moves. That is the shift. Not more motivation, not better planning. Just a refusal to negotiate with anything that weakens you. Look at your patterns without lying to yourself. You don't fall into distraction by accident. You step into it slowly, knowing exactly what you are doing. There is a moment before every bad decision where awareness is present. You feel it, that slight pause where you could choose differently. But instead of acting on it, you override it. You tell yourself it's fine, just this once. You'll fix it later. That moment is everything. That is where control lives, and you keep giving it away. Not because you can't resist, but because you don't want to in that moment. That's the truth most avoid. You are not powerless. You are selective about when you use your power, and most of the time you choose not to. Until you take responsibility for that, nothing changes. Because you will keep pretending it's happening to you, instead of admitting you're allowing it. You keep waiting to feel ready. That is one of the most dangerous habits you have built. Because readiness is not something that arrives. It is something that is created through action. The longer you wait, the further you drift from it. You tell yourself you need clarity, energy, the right timing. But those are conditions that only appear after you start moving, not before. The version of you that gets things done does not feel ready. It feels resistance and moves anyway. That is the difference. You are trying to eliminate discomfort before acting. That will never happen. Discomfort is part of the process. It is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are doing something that matters. If you only act when things feel easy, you will spend your life repeating the same level of effort and wondering why nothing changes. You don't hate your current habits enough. That is why they are still alive. People change when something becomes unbearable, not inconvenient, not slightly frustrating, unbearable. Right now, your life is just comfortable enough to stay the same. You feel the consequences, but not deeply enough to force action. So you stay in the middle, not satisfied but not desperate either. That middle space is where most people get stuck, because it removes urgency. It allows you to delay without panic, and delay is what kills progress. You keep telling yourself you want more, but your actions say you're okay with what you have. Until those two align, nothing moves. You either raise your standards or lower your expectations. There is no third option where you drift and somehow land somewhere better. You have been trying to balance your impulses instead of controlling them. That is a mistake. You cannot coexist with something that is actively working against you and expect to win long term. Every time you give in, you reinforce the pattern. You make it easier for the next time. You are training your mind whether you realize it or not. And right now, you are training it to choose comfort. You don't need more strategies. You need fewer exceptions. Every exception you allow becomes a rule over time. That is how habits form. Not through big decisions, but through repeated small allowances. If you want to break that cycle, you tighten your standards. You remove the option to negotiate. You act in alignment even when it feels unnecessary. Especially when it feels unnecessary. There is a version of you that already knows what needs to be done. You've heard it before. In quiet moments, when you are not distracted, it is clear, direct, simple. But you keep ignoring it because it requires effort. Instead, you listen to the louder voice that offers relief. The one that tells you to wait, to relax, to take the easy route. That voice feels more convincing because it promises immediate comfort, but it costs you long-term control. The quieter voice is the one you need to follow. Not because it sounds good, but because it is consistent. It doesn't change based on mood. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It points you in the same direction every time. The problem is not that you don't know what to do. The problem is that you don't act on what you already know. Stop thinking of control as something you either have or don't. It is something you practice, daily in small moments. Every time you choose effort over comfort, you strengthen it. Every time you give in, you weaken it. It is that simple. There is no secret formula, no shortcut, just repetition. Most people fail because they look for a big change. Something dramatic that shifts everything at once. That doesn't exist. What exists is accumulation.